evening, everybody. Hello, and welcome to coverage of the DreamHack Atlanta Regional Championship. I'm Amy Loney alongside Corey Baumeister, and we are looking forward to some spicy Pioneer action. Corey, how you doing, my friend?
I'm doing great. I'm doing really great. I'm so excited to be commentating this first regional championship with you, my favorite partner in the whole wide world, and it's going to be nice to see some players head to the Pro Tour here for our first one back. I'm so excited.
It's going to be so awesome. I can't wait to see who books their tickets to the Pro Tour and eventually to the World Championship coming up next year. So, friends, as we jump into the action this weekend, it's not just us that are going to be hanging out with you, not just myself and Corey. On a note, take a look and see who else is going to be joining us this weekend. It is none other than former world champion Paulo Vitor Damo de Rosa, as well as Mani, also known as Zapgaze Davudi. Look at those glorious headshots there, Corey. You are rocking that blue steel, my friend.
Thank you. I've been really working on my blue steel. I think we all nailed it with that world background. We need to get Paulo back to the world stage so he can get a nice headshot like we have here. That would make a lot of sense.
For sure. So, if you are joining us, my friends, today, well, a lot of you are joining us for the first time because this regional championship, this is part of the new, what do we call it? The new organized play.
New system we got going,
Exactly, yeah. So let's take a look and see how this tournament this weekend is going to be structured. And we're going to take a look at the prize structure as well, and then take a look at Pioneer. So, tournament structure this weekend. Corey, let me know how it goes.
Yep, tournament structure. So we are going to be playing 9 rounds here. We're going to have a 6-3 cut for these players. And then we're going to have 4 rounds on day 2. There we go. We got 9 rounds on Saturday. That cut at 6-3 or better. 4 additional rounds on Sunday. And then we're cutting to the top 8. That's going to be the magic numbers for the players to play for that huge lump prize for first place. But top 64 is also something, top 48 is also something we really want to keep an eye on, as that is going to qualify people for Pro Tour 1 and Regional Championship number 2.
Yeah, and that's a big deal, especially if you're aspiring to get to the World Championship or to the Pro Tours. Then you definitely want to try and get yourself into top 48. So it doesn't sound like, I came 48. It doesn't sound like that much of a big deal, but in this instance, sure is. Prizing all the way up to 64th position. But if you take a look there, the champion walks away with $30,000. The runner-up will receive $15,000. Both of those players get an invitation to the next World Championship. So lots to play for here this weekend, Corey.
Agreed. And $30,000 for first place. It wasn't too long ago that our Pro Tours that we were playing, every 3 months were $40,000 for first place. So this is basically a Pro Tour that feeds into a Super Pro Tour now is kind of a new way to look at this system. It's going to be really exciting, and $30,000 for a weekend here getaway in Atlanta is nothing to scoff at.
Not at all. And as I mentioned earlier, we are playing Pioneer this weekend. So, Corey, let us know what Pioneer is all about.
Yeah, so Pioneer is really every standard legal set here with some additions. I believe it is Ravnica was the cutoff line here. Return to Ravnica forward. Non-rotating format similar to Modern, but a little bit less power. We don't see fetch lands like we see in Modern. Minimum 60 card main deck, no more than 15 cards. Sideboard, might see some 80 card decks with different Yorion decks that are popping up. I do love it. I do love it. And then all Brothers War is legal, of course. And that is the biggest thing with this particular tournament is this is week 1 of Brothers War. So we are going to be seeing a lot of new cards. We're going to be seeing a lot of new decks. And I would be surprised if we didn't have a team that kind of breaks it with some of the new cards, Ailey.
Yeah, I'm very curious to see which Brothers War cards make an impact in Pioneer. This format is kind of like the Wild West, I would say, because, people aren't 100% sure what they should be playing this weekend. A lot of players have just been like, when in doubt, just pick mono green devotion. Other players are like, no, Rakdos midrange. Yes, please. And then we got Isa Phoenix as well. So I don't know. Corey, what would you pick this weekend?
Honestly, I played a SCG event last weekend, and I was kind of smashing my head against the wall over and over, trying to figure out a way to break it, because this is a really tough format right now. It's really tough to figure out a deck that is just miles better than everything else. Everything is pretty close. While Mono Green is the deck that a lot of people lean on and, might be our most popular deck, There is Phoenix, which is super close. Grease Fang. There's just so many decks that it makes it really tough to paint a picture of the best deck. I think I would play green, but I wouldn't be feeling super great about it because if that deck has a target on it, it's plenty beatable.
Oh yeah, I've been keeping an eye on some of the Sophia players posting their results on Twitter, and a lot of the players who played mono green have just been like, well, we're getting targeted super heavily by Rakdos midrange, so yeah, Extinction Event is a hell of a Magic card.
It is really good, yeah. When that deck packs 4 of those, even a matchup like that, which should be good, they can really flip around with different sideboard cards here. So everything's close. It'll be awesome to see, who can pilot their way to the top 8 of this event.
Definitely. Now, our first feature match that we're going to be bringing you features a little-known player, Nathan Stoyer.
I've heard of him.
Just, our world champion. He's got a bright future ahead of him, I must say, Corey. He's going to do pretty well for himself.
He's got a bright future, and he already has a bright past ahead, behind him. He has won so many tournaments, even in the month of October. In the month of October, he won the Mock Season 2, and he now won the World Championship in really dramatic fashion here a couple weeks ago that we were commentating. It was a special moment, and yeah, one of the brightest futures in the game. The new GOAT. We might have the true GOAT in our commentary booth this time, but the new GOAT, I think, is going to be sleeving up to play some Magic this weekend.
Oh yeah, and we're going to see Nathan Stoyer up against Gary Wong. It's going to be an Is It Phoenix mirror match. But before we jump in there, friends, let's take a look and see what these players are playing for this weekend, where it is they want to get to. And that is, of course, the World Championship.
32 players walked into the building for the chance at being crowned the best in the world.
If he draws a land, you know he's going to slam it.
Fantastic job from Tristan.
4 players left undefeated after draft, and they were all members of Team Handshake.
That's going to do it.
That's game.
Lay Julian Wellman.
If you have enough attackers to win, you go for it.
Look what it means to Jakob Toth.
Carl Sarab locking up his slot into the top 4 here.
Someone's going home a world champion.
And I had so many tough decisions to make, and I was just lucky that I made the right ones at the right time.
Jakob Toth picks up the first win. Eli Cassis headed through the finals, and there we go. Nathan Stoyer is going to advance.
Congratulations, Nathan Stoyer.
I surprisingly feel pretty good.
Can't wait.
This is our title match. That is match number 1. He evens things up
For the win.
Just a matter of time, and there's Invoke Despair. Nathan Stoyer is your world champion.
Kaio Molinari versus Reid Duke. Selesnya Angels versus Monoblue Spirits. So we'll jump into that shortly. We may also have an interview, but I'll let you know as soon as we have those queued up for you. All right. We're going to be just a second. We're going to start from game 1 with these players. Now, Selesnya Angels is a deck that a lot of people have said could be making a comeback. A couple new lands
Yeah,
being introduced.
Selesnya Angels has had a pretty good weekend here as of, last weekend at the SCG. It did pretty well. It did well at another tournament across seas. I can't remember exactly, but it just proving it's pretty strong at flying over mono green. The Angels themselves snowball so well that if they're not dealt with right away, you just start creating these gigantic battlefields. Yeah. And it's a deck that most people kind of thought was a meme for a while, but it's proving that it is a really strong choice. And Reid Duke playing Monoblue Spirits, a deck that a lot of people are trying to port over with the dominance in Explorer that we saw at the World Championship. Yeah. People are trying to just transfer it over here. There's a couple different decks. There's a little bit more Pioneer decks that are supercharged compared to Explorer, but Reid just deciding to kind of run it back since he played that at the World Championship here a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, I was going to say, looking at this list, there's nothing really too different from what we saw at the World Championship. And hey, if it works and it's not broke, just, nothing to fix. Let's jump in now and go check out the action from this game.
Yeah, that's the thing is those mono blue decks didn't really gain anything, but the format around it is a lot more diverse and dynamic, which usually makes these style of mono blue decks a lot worse. The one thing that we do have going for mono blue is the matchup against mono green is as close to a bye as it can get. It's very good for mono blue. So that had to be one of the main reasons that Reid considered this deck choice.
Nice. Oh, what we have on the board at the moment looks like we have an Ascendant Spirit up against a Lunarch Veteran, as well as Bishop of Wings for Kyle Molinari. And one of the ways that I've seen these Angel decks just run away with games is the insane amount of life gain that are in these lists, with Righteous Valkyrie, with Resplendent Angels.
Yep, 100% agree. And here we see the Resplendent Angel right now. And I mean, if that were to resolve and this combination of gain a bunch of life, put in a Angel token, like that's almost too much for Reid to deal with already here from the Angel side.
Because, yeah, that's 5 life just off that one Angel.
Yes, and I believe all you need is 4 here. Double checking for Resplendent Angel. Oh, no, you do need 5. Yeah, so you need that. You needed both of those to combine to be able to gain 5. And it gets it done. And you got to think, like, it's going to be really brutal for Reid to come back from because, well, these mono blue decks don't play from behind very well.
No, they don't. On the plus side, he does have this Ascendant Spirit, which is going to get rather large and can hopefully jump in the way of some of these creatures. But, you know, this is another go wide strategy, and it's usually from the mono blue side of things, only one big thing that can deal with a board like this. And currently it's this Ascendant Spirit. So Reid's got a lot of work to do and the things to find to deal with this battlefield right now.
Yeah, absolutely. It does fly now, at least. You know, that gives Reid a little bit of hope, but it's still not blocking that 4/4 Angel, and Resplendent Angel can get in there if you have enough lands to activate as well.
Needs 6 for that, so still a bit of a ways away.
Still a ways, yep.
Oh, all right. Well, that's going to get rid of this chunky 1-drop potentially, but Reid Duke is going to slip out the back, phase it out, put a counter on it. I like how he's representing that. That's cool.
Yep, absolutely. I was going to say, now that we're, you know, unlike 2 weeks ago at the World Championship, that thing would be hovering in the air and shaded out. We would know exactly that it was phased out and it had flying. We have to actually use our brains now, Ailey.
Yeah.
And
we should just get some puppet masters down there, you know, just like lift the card above the table for us.
I would appreciate that. I think I think we deserve that. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. It seems like a sensible expense. No,
yeah, I'm sure they're going to get right on that for us.
Big chunk of damage coming in here now with the 3 creatures. Down to 11 goes Reid Duke, Hall of Famer.
Yep, qualified for this tournament
via
the MPL. You know, his top performance at the MPL. I guess not even. Excuse me, top performance. Everybody in the MPL and rivals do qualify for these events as a way of, you know, getting all the players who dominated in the last series and iteration of our professional level of Magic into the new thing to give them the chances to get back to the top, which they were at, you know, for a very long time.
Exactly. So MPL and rivals no longer a thing. So it was kind of like a big reset button was hit, but, you know, I kind of just like to think that they went back to the way things were and simplified stuff a lot, you know, so that the player who's sitting at home watching this now has a much clearer path of, okay, if I want to be playing in the next World Championship, this is what I have to do.
Exactly. And speaking of, you know, qualifications for RC number 2, the regional championship qualifiers are being played right now. You know, and if you're in the US area, playing in those will get you into these broadcasts and they could get you to the Pro Tour, get you to Worlds and into the new system. It's a much clearer path to be at the highest level. I would totally agree.
Exactly right. Collected Company. Let's see. Does it whiff? It always whiffs for me. Did it whiff here for KO Molinari? What do we find?
That's not a whiff.
Ooh, Righteous Valkyrie as well as, goodness, Skyclave Apparition 2. That's going to be enough for Reid Duke. No way you're coming back from that one, unfortunately. So let's go. Game number 2.
Yep, and this is a matchup where if the board state gets to that situation, and honestly, once the Resplendent Angel came to the battlefield here, it was pretty much GG. You know, these mono blue decks don't play well from behind. So what Reid's really going to be looking for in the post games or the rest of the games, excuse me, is trying to get that creature down, try to get it strapped up with a Curious Obsession, and then just counter everything from there on out. The Selesnya Angels deck plays at sorcery speed for the most part, outside of Collected Company being able to kind of make Reid's life a little bit trickier by playing a company on Reid's end step and then playing stuff on his main phase. But outside of that, it's all just stuff during his opponent's main phase that he has to deal with.
Okay, so sideboard time. What are we changing? What's coming in? What's going out?
Let's see. Okay, so starting off from the Selesnya Angels deck, looking at it, we have nothing really crazy. Brutal Cathar could come in as another way to deal with some of these spirits. That's a decent option. Outside of that, I'm really not seeing anything that you would want at all. So not much sideboarding from the Angel side. From the Spirit side, I would think we are probably going to bring in some Brazen Borrowers, because if these Angels get really big, or the tokens, you want to be able to control that a little bit. So I would see those coming in. Reid has a couple copies of Jace Mirror Mage in the sideboard, which I'm not going to lie, I will have to give that one a reread. That is that's an interesting one that I can't imagine comes in this matchup, but I'm not 100% sure. And then Witness Protection is going to be a nice one of for this matchup. Witness Protection has to be basically exactly for this matchup. These really large creatures that Monoblue can't really deal with, but Witness Protection does its best job at making a legitimate business person from the Angels. I love that wording.
It's so good. I love it too. Certainly a few good options or good targets for that Witness Protection if we just, look at what the biggest powerhouses in the Selesnya Angels deck are. Resplendent Angel, Righteous Valkyrie. You hit any of those and you could essentially just shut down Anthem effects, the Angel, the token generation, all that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I believe that joke was an inside joke for the legitimate business person from Carmen Handy at working at Wizards, where that was just kind of the joke they made, and all of a sudden it just made it to the Cards print run, which I think was just a hilarious story. I laughed very hard when I read that.
It's too good. I've seen a few cosplays of legitimate business person too. So,
love it.
Kudos to everyone taking those to their LGSs.
Honestly, that's what I cosplayed as at for Halloween in Vegas. I looked like a legitimate business person in the suit.
Someone said you looked like Hugh Hefner. I didn't see it, but you had a distinct lack of Playboy bunnies too. Just putting it out there.
Yes, I did. I believe our stylist did say that, because I was not wearing socks with my dress shoes.
Yeah,
in the context.
Those dress shoes didn't last long.
Yeah, I switched to comfortable shoes very quickly.
No one sees our feet. They don't pay enough for that on broadcast. Come on.
After getting a blister, immediately I was off that. Absolutely.
Yeah, blisters aren't fun. But a turn one play here from Reid Duke certainly is Mausoleum Wanderer. It's going to hit the battlefield. This little pesky guy is like a counter spell on a stick. When it needs to jump in and save the day, it certainly can. Line number 2 and Supreme Phantom down on the board here. So things are getting large. And this is exactly what Reid Duke needs to be doing. 1 drop, 2 drop, 3 drop, go. And then, oops, you're dead. Essentially is what we're hoping here.
Much better start here for Reid. 1 drop into 2 drop here. Now that is a big one. That is probably the main card that brought this archetype back to life. And that's Giada, being able to add a mana with that, and the ridiculous ability of not only giving each angel a +1/+1 counter, but they stack on top of each other. The second one gets 1 counter. The third one gets 2 counters. And that kind of ability on a already ramp creature is incredible for the angels, the angel tribes.
Yeah, no, this is a extremely powerful card in addition to this deck. And it's kind of what it needed to be competitive. It's not like the be all and end all, but it certainly helps having a powerful 2 drop on here, because the previous option at 2 mana was a Youthful Valkyrie, which isn't that amazing.
Yeah, I think that was it, right? I think there was maybe one other Oh, Giada is just a legitimate business person now.
Oh, and that's
Love
the one
it.
in the sideboard.
The one up, but also the one really bad news bears for Reid is no land.
Oh,
So this is
no,
gonna be a
that's what he
huge
was
deal.
counting on. I bet you he saw Giada. Oh, there we go. There's land. It's fine. Oh, no land for
No
Reid
land for
Duke.
Reid. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so no blue being held up because that's the I always forget this card's name. Faceless Haven just hanging out there.
Yep. Yeah, so I mean, it looks like the number one problem is we're not seeing Skyclave. Okay, I was going to say, or a really important 3-drop. That is a really big deal. Well, Reid is tapped out, but yeah, decides to make legitimate business person out of Giada instead of holding up a potential counter spell, which I like because Giada just has to be dealt with. And
I want to know, like, what business would she run? I'm guessing she's not dabbling in any Halo distribution because that's kind of an illicit substance.
The person who brings in people from the gates of heaven, I guess, just runs the legitimate business of gatekeeping.
The legitimate business taxi service to the gates of the pearly gates.
I think that's it. Yeah.
Oh, goodness me. Mausoleum Wanderer chipping in here for 3 now, I believe, as we had the Ascendant Spirit enter as well.
Yep, absolutely gets in for 3, so it can attack plus Resplendent Angel, but another just train wreck scenario for Reid Duke fans. Not having an untapped 2 lands where now you can just play any Angel or Collected Company, and it's just going to resolve is not where you want to be at for Reid Duke.
I mean, heck, if I'm KO, I'm beaming right now. I'm like, oh, heck yeah. Can I get a 2-0 here against Hall of Famer Reid Duke?
Exactly. That's how you want to start your option. And yeah, I suppose this doesn't legend rule. Maybe it still does. The legendary is a super type, so I believe that they would still be a legend.
It becomes named legitimate business person, so I don't think there's legend rule.
If it gets named legitimate business person, then it would indeed not legend rule out.
Yeah. Just going to call a judge here just to make sure, but from my understanding, it's a completely different card.
Yeah, Judge Giada and Giada in a mustache. Do they legend rule each other?
I don't know what you're talking about, Corey. This is very clearly a legitimate business person named. I don't know.
Named legitimate business person.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we're just getting that. Now we are back in the world where people, have to just call the judge when you're not sure how something works. It doesn't just happen like we have in our digital sphere.
Yeah. And just a reminder for everybody, if you're playing in these events and you're ever unsure about anything, call a judge. That's what they're there for. They'll help you out. Don't be shy.
Judges are your friend. And honestly, I call the judge more often than most players just to clarify before I make an action. You act rashly and you cause yourself a game instead of just calling a judge where you then get a time extension anyways. There's no reason not to do it, and there's a lot of reasons to call a judge when you don't know exactly what's going on. Okay, turns out they do legend rule.
Yeah, the judge just ripped off that mustache and revealed the other Giada, and she's back in the bin.
Interesting. And now we're going to see Youthful Valkyrie get those 2 counters thanks to Giada's second ability. I really thought that would have worked the other way since it's named something else.
This is why we aren't the judges, Corey.
That makes sense. We're just legitimate business people.
Yes.
All right, so big turn here for Reid as he's now very far behind on the battlefield, and with a bunch of flyers, he's unable to get damage through. And yeah, you usually don't see a lot of emotion on Reid's face, but a little hedge slump there of like, oh, come on, is this how this tournament's going to be? No land once again.
Yeah, land's certainly not playing nice here. Molinari is sitting in a very comfortable position right now. He's got 3 impressive threats on the battlefield. Reid Duke's only onboard option right now is to just start leveling up his little spirit and possibly trying to prevent Caillou from doing instant speed shenanigans in the form of a collected company. Now, what's he going to go for here? Let's see.
Yeah, we didn't see him fire it off.
Oh, he's going for it.
Okay, fires
Here
it
comes
off
the Coco.
now. Deciding to fire it off now, so the thing is, this can be answered on board with Mausoleum Wanderer if we need to just sacrifice that.
That is true. Does that maybe mean he's got another one in hand? Big thing here for Reid Duke. What resource does he deploy? It's going to be Mausoleum Wanderer. And that'll take care of that collected company.
And we are getting some word from Chad. I think Chad is agreeing. We think that Giada should still be in play since it is a legitimate business person. But unfortunately, these were slightly previously recorded, so we will not be able to stop the players and let them know if it is indeed an error. I can see it going either way, to be honest.
Chad are all level 5 judges, Corey.
I should have known. I should have known.
Yes.
So a
Yeah,
huge
hopefully
swing.
that won't affect the outcome of the matches. We're going to see the level up here from Ascendant Spirit. It's now a warrior. That's a 2/3.
I do not think it's going to matter for what it's worth. Unless Reid can find a cheeky way to sneak in a bunch of damage here. It's going to look like it's going to be in favor of Angels here as long as there's some follow-up.
And still no land here for Reid Duke. Doing his best with what he's got on the battlefield. Supreme Phantom might have to run under a bus called Resplendent Angel at some point. Bishop of Wings going to come down now too.
And now if we're able to follow that up with a way to gain some life, it would trigger Resplendent Angel.
Mm-hmm.
And that is 5 life.
Yeah. Oh my goodness,
Probably
Inspiring
see that will be
Overseer
covered.
entering. It's going to get Geistlight snared.
Yep, Geistlight snared there. And now it'll just be a situation of, can we just attack with everything and still be safe for the crackback? Looks like 6, 7. Looks like, yeah, there's no way that Reid could present lethal on the crackback.
Mm-mm.
So it's a pretty safe all-in attack. And now Reid has to cast basically 2 removal spells in a deck that he already used his 1 premium removal spell, which is Witness Protection. So gonna be a tough one here, especially on 2 lands.
This will be a
And
comeback
still
of the
then
year if I've
another
ever
one.
seen one, but it's not looking super hot here for Reid Duke right now. Caillou Molinari in a very commanding position. With 4 threats on the battlefield, any additional angel is just going to start gaining him life and creating 4/4 angel tokens.
Yeah, and Reid kept a 2-lander on the play. There's no way he would have kept a 1-lander on the play on 7. So really unlucky to not find land 3 until, turn 6 or so here.
Yeah, just has to pass the turn back. Hanging out with his 2 little spirits and hoping for the best. Caillou Molinari assesses the battlefield here.
Now Caillou can play spells pre-combat, and they're either going to resolve, and then maybe he leaves back a bunch of attackers, or they get countered, and then he's able to attack with some different creatures here to maybe win this game on the spot. So it's a tough spot that he's going to put Reid in with casting stuff pre-combat.
There's a Lunarch Veteran. That's going to resolve. Pretty innocuous. What is the follow-up here, though? 2 more mana for another Youthful Valkyrie. Now, these all seem like pretty, that's not that big a deal, but look how wide he's going here.
Yeah,
Reid
that
Duke
seems
is
like
down to
not
4.
that seems like not a big deal until you realize that that card itself would create 9
Another
total
4/4.
power, 9 power on the battlefield because it would pump the youthful. It itself would get 3 counters on it from Giada. Plus, then you would put a Resplendent Angel token, which Giada would then give that 3 extra counters. So it's actually 10 power in 2 mana. As not powerful as it looks, it is powerful because of how much these decks snowball out of control.
Oh my goodness. Yep.
And now this Ascended Spirit does not fly right now.
Everything else is flying, barring the Bishop. Yeah, Bishop doesn't fly.
Bishop doesn't fly, so that is an easy block on the Bishop from the Ascended Spirit, and then you can maybe flash in a Spectral Sailor or something like that. I just saw William Jensen in the background of Reid Duke's camera there, cheering on his buddy. And yeah, looks like we do have the Sailor to maybe line up some favorable blocks here, but that is only a 2/2.
Yeah. Is that enough to kill one of these threatening creatures here? Reid Duke going to go down to 1. Spectral Sailor bites the dust. Giada bounces off of the Supreme Phantom. In for 3. All right. Big draw here for Reid Duke. Needs to find a way to block every creature here.
He needs land, sleep. Very bad. Sleep would be excellent here for Reid Duke, which is not in his 75, but
it's not. That would be great,
dream.
though. Yeah. But you have to sleep to dream, Corey.
Oh, very fair. Very fair. We're going deep here. We're going into REM sleep here on these jokes.
Oh, I haven't had REM sleep since my newborn just doesn't understand the concept of sleep.
Since you didn't have a child, huh? I believe that. Yep. What is REM sleep to you?
Yeah. I don't sleep anymore. I just lose consciousness. But turn pass back, Supreme Phantom up. 1 blue mana open here for Reid Duke. Needs to do something similar. And at least this time would have a 3/3 jumping in. But yeah, we're just swinging everything. Swinging for the fences. Is this game over for Reid Duke in
It's
another
gotta
quick
be.
2-0?
Even if you can flash in 1 card or 1 slip out the back, anything like that, 3 blockers for 4 attackers. And he does have the slip out the back, which can work defensively as well. But yeah, as it stands, it's going to be Xaxes.
Yep. That's going to be it. Unfortunately, Reid Duke not finding the answer. And KO Molinari picking up a win. A 2-0 against the Hall of Famer. So go Angels. Yeah.
Great way to start. Great way to start. Not exactly how I thought that matchup would play out. I would kind of think Monoblue maybe would be a little favored, but Reid's draws did not agree with him. You need some lands to cast some spells. That's for sure.
Yeah. Turns out drawing lands is a good way to cast your magic cards. But fighting it out tooth and nail to the last possible point there, Reid Duke. And you're going to see a lot of players like stick in as long as they can this weekend because there's a lot on the line, as we mentioned earlier. Qualifications for the next regional championships, for the Pro Tour, and for the winner and the runner-up World Championship spots, baby.
And wheelbarrows of cash on the line as well. Yeah. Definitely incentives to player.
Do they get wheelbarrows?
To stick around. Full wheelbarrows for the whole top 8. Yeah. I probably shouldn't make that promise on the broadcast. They should.
I'd take a wheelbarrow of cash with home.
Yeah, there we go.
Alrighty, my friends, we'll have more action from the regional championship, so please don't go anywhere. Round 2 will be right after the short break, so don't go anywhere.